Sid, it is, of course, silly season at the moment with regards to transfers, and I didn't even think we'd be talking about this one, but there is an element of truth, maybe, to the fact that Barcelona are keeping an eye on Carlos Vela, who, of course, at the moment is in MLS.
Yep. Barcelona are trying to find a striker, and a particular type of striker. They're trying to find a striker who they believe has the talent to fit into the Barcelona team, but who isn't a kind of striker who would necessarily demand to play every game. They know that this is a striker who has to accept that he may well only be there until the end of the season, has to accept that he's there to try and give a rest to Luis Suarez, to try and rotate through the forward line. And so you have difficulties persuading some players of taking that role. They've looked at a whole number of strikers over the last week or so. There's been a lot of talk of Stuani, but it would cost them 15 million euros. Alvaro Morata is someone who's been offered to them and they haven't necessarily turned it down. Well, I think he'll probably end up at Atletico Madrid. And so they're trying to look at the many alternatives. And this, it appears, while it appears completely left field, and you're right on the face of it, very, very bizarre indeed, this is one that they think could function as a short-term solution to a short-term problem.
Does this work for you?
Well, no, not at all. Bob Bradley he's built his team around this guy. He'll be absolutely pulling his hair out. I mean...
Well, I don't think he's got any hair, has he? Bradley?
Well, what's left of it, let's put it that way. Look, his best player, you want him in camp, you want him around the building, you want him to build the camaraderie.
Well, I understand from LAFC's, but from Barcelona's point of view, does this make any sense?
Not for me. I'm sorry.
From what Sid said there, he ticks every single box.
Right.
I mean, that was the criticism that's been labelled at him most of the time, is that he wasn't a guy that turned up and produced Messi-esque or didn't produce his best every time he stepped on the field. He's a guy who showed flashes of genius and who was quite happy now and again just to take a back seat. I mean, he fits every bill, and the guy's got talent. It's always been what's been going on between his ears that we've questioned. So if what Sid says is right and that's all the things they're looking for, then yeah, maybe he does tick all the boxes.
Meanwhile, Sid, a lot of talk about Coutinho and his future. It seems a strange one that this story keeps coming up again.
Well, it keeps coming up again. I mean, you know, at the risk of being overly cynical and overly dismissive, it keeps coming up again because it's quite fun and it keeps people entertained. Because he's not playing that well, and because, it's Coutinho and he's the most expensive player ever, and wow, he's going to go, isn't he? There isn't any plan to force Coutinho out. There isn't any plan for Coutinho not to play a part at Barcelona in the short, medium, and indeed long term. Now, obviously, look, if you have a market scenario in which someone comes in with an absolutely enormous bid, given the financial pressures that Barcelona are currently under, would they contemplate it? I suspect they probably would, but I don't think there's an active attempt to force Coutinho out. Now, there is a systemic element here, which is that you have Valverde's been trying to find a way of being attacking and creative, but not running risk, not being overrun in the middle of the midfield. And one of the ways of doing that was to have Coutinho as someone in the front three. But with time, he's found a way of getting the best out of Dembele. So, of course, Dembele goes into front three, but if you put Coutinho into the midfield, you lose some of that solidity, some of that organisation, which Valverde is so fond of. So it is quite difficult, actually, in truth, to find a place in the team for both Dembele and Coutinho. Two players who, by the way, add them together, it's 300 million euros worth of player there. So, you know, of course that provokes a debate. But to be honest with you, I think the debate is as exaggerated as his price tag was in the first place.
Quickly, Sid, reports in the UK that Malcom could be going to Spurs on loan. Any chance of this happening?
Yep, Barcelona would quite like him to play more. They don't think he's going to play as much as they would like him to play at Barcelona. And if they can find a solution in which he plays for the rest of the season, but they don't actually lose him, it's a solution they would be relatively keen on, yeah.